here. J.R. Shepard dives down to the inside, trying to see if he's able to get a little bit of that tack that Brandon Proudfoot has been getting up at the front of the field. 10 laps to go here at Port Royal.
Yeah, definitely not making a huge ground here on Brian. Brian's able to maintain that gap.
It's Big Justin Morton back into second with J.R. Shepard somehow taking over the lead. I have no idea.
These guys, you see Scott kind of using up all that momentum, going to enter the corner wide. I expect him to kind of cut back low. See lap car down on the inside. George overshoots the corner. Scott puts that car just where he needs to on the middle. It's going to be a drag race through the kink. Thomas George gets loose. Scott Eckridge has the opportunity to come home with a win right now. Side-by-side drag race.
Oh, wow.
Scott Eckridge, 5/1000ths of a second.
With only a few rounds down in the championship, it's already starting to look like a breakaway fight between Dirt Panda teammates Billy Northcutt and William Hargraves. But with plenty of time left to go in the season, everything is still up for grabs. Hello everyone and welcome to round 3 of the Bootleg Racing League's Dirt Street Stock Series live here from the virtual Cedar Lake Speedway and live on the Virtual Grip Network. My name is DJ Clark, joined here in the commentary booth by Austin Belkey with our director Ryan Seneker and Lowell Jewell producing behind the scenes. And Austin, since its addition onto the iRacing service, Cedar Lake has become a bit of a mainstay here in the Bootleg Racing League, but what secrets does this track still hold?
Well, DJ, this track is super fast, but more importantly, it's super treacherous. These guys are going to go from racing down at the bottom of the track to racing towards the top later in the run. It's going to provide some fantastic two-wide racing, but you got to be really careful about riding too high into turn 1. You go up over that berm.
Yeah, you certainly can, and drivers are going to have to watch out for that. That's one of the danger zones to keep an eye on here tonight, especially with the, well, I won't say unique anymore, although it was pretty unique when it came to the service, but the layout of the pit lane being outside the track, indeed just to the left of those tractor tires that you see on your screen. But we are pleased to announce we've got a huge field here tonight. Looks like a whopping 33 drivers signed up and ready to go, and trying to all make a field of 24, Austin. So that means there's going to be some drivers pretty unhappy at the end of the night, I have to think.
Yeah, we're going to end up sending, what looks like now, maybe 10-plus guys home. We'll have to see how many of those guys end up staying, which of those guys end up leaving, but it's going to mean that tempers are going to get pretty hot towards the end of these last-chance qualifiers.
Yeah, that's where we're really going to see these drivers come out, because the way this is going to work is it's standard heat racing format here. Drivers have 4 laps to go out and try to complete 4 clean laps, and your lap time for qualifying will be an average of those 4. So if you bump the wall during one of those laps, you pick up one of those dreaded 1Xs, that's going to come back to bite you, and you're not going to be able to set a lap. From there, drivers will be sorted into a series of heat races. The top 2 will automatically advance on into the feature. Everyone else will go to those consi races, which will be 8 laps, and we'll get an exact idea of how many are going to transfer on. But as we said, 24 drivers going on there, and I've got to think that this is really going to put a pretty heavy emphasis on qualifying here, as you do not want to be starting farther back in those heat races.
Yeah, DJ, the higher you start in your heat race, the better your chances are to automatically lock yourself into the A main. Again, we only take the top 2 guys and lock them into the feature event through qualifying. After that, these drivers get shuffled into a last chance qualifier. So the further you can put yourself up the field right away, the better a spot you're going to be in terms of not having to go home.
Yeah, exactly. As we watch the first couple of drivers here working their way out onto the track, the number 69 machine, that is Aiden Young there as he works his way around it. Austin, I believe you've got the definitive way to be able to tell what those boxes on the bottom of the screen are going to read out for us.
Oh yeah, a couple different colors. You can see them all at the bottom of your screen right here. There's going to be one box to the left of the driver's name, one box to the right. The left box is Sector 1, that's turns 1 and 2. The right box, that's Sector 2, that's turns 3 and 4. A purple box is the fastest time anyone has gone around those two turns in the entire session. Green box is the driver's best. Yellow somewhere below both those two. You can see a lot of drivers putting some fast ones down right now. No driver, though, is going around here faster from what it looks like than Chris Davis in that 7 machine.
Yeah, Chris looking particularly fast, but remember, it's a 4-lap average around here, so it's not just one quick lap. You've got to put them all together. It does look like the medium lane, let's call it for now, that middle lane is the way to go here for the majority of the drivers, pushing up on what is a lower cushion here on the track. We expect that cushion to push up as the night goes along. We've got our first couple of times coming in, though. Looks like it's going to be Quill, Barbara, Young, Hill, Smiley up in your top 5. Then John Wilson, Hunter Gaines, Robbie Robinson, Chris Hazlip as your driver that you picked out there. Chris Davis slots his way up into 5th.
Yeah, Mr. Aggressive. I'll be honest, I'm kind of surprised he's as far down in the timing sheets as he is right now. Looking at a couple other drivers, there you see that number 32 car, Michael Maniz. Jesse Steffies puts in a pretty good lap time as well.
Yeah, Kyle Jarrett and Zachary Loomis, though, up to the top of the charts with a 1 and 2 position, and very close between the two. Only 1,000th of a second separating them here at this point. So that is a very, very close running. Looks like Cody Ernest is going to find himself up into 4th place. As no surprise, William Hargraves up to the top of the charts.
Yeah, talk about William Hargraves. How about his Dirt Panda Racing teammate, Billy Northcutt? He just put down a purple sector in turns 1 and 2. So looking at Steven Spies right now. Steven, one of those guys, calls himself a bottom feeder. So he's going to really excel right here when all the grip is towards that lower part of the track. And, you know, don't count him out, though. He's really good at running the top side when he has to, of course, later on towards the end of the night.
Well, and that's going to be one of the things that we talk about multiple times over the course of the night is who's going to be able to read that track out, who's going to be able to find where that grip is. That's going to be very, very crucial. Seeing a number of drivers here not yet setting a time, not entirely sure if that's because maybe they had a little brush with the wall or they just haven't gone out here at this point, but about 3 minutes gone. Brady Thompson going to find his way up into 14th position as there goes Billy Northcutt, one of the drivers that we had our eyes on up in the championship. He's going to find his way up into P4.
Yeah, Justin Benton putting down some fast laps here. Looks like he has a couple more laps until he completes his qualifying here. See Billy Northcutt again, just putting down some hot laps. Look like a new paint scheme there for Billy as well. So I always enjoy looking at what kind of schemes Billy shows up to the track with. And it's always interesting to see kind of the different color combinations he ends up choosing. But DJ, it looks like everybody for the most part has put down their qualifying times. If they haven't, it's usually because they've ended up spinning out. Mason Inman, he got a little bit wrong in one of his laps. Got himself a 0x, spun the car out. Same with Justin Hopkins, Dustin Benton as well. Bobby Hayes, it looks like he hasn't put it down a qualifying lap at all, but I think he's just going to keep that car down in the pits. So it looks like he's going to run this thing out of time.
Yeah, I think that's what he's planning on doing here at this point. We only have about 50 seconds left to go. A couple of surprises to see a little bit farther down in the field. John Wilson down in 18th, not exactly where I would have expected him to be. Robbie Robinson down in 24th. I think those are two drivers in particular that are going to try to move their way up towards the front of the field, and I expect them to have the speed to do so. Let's also go ahead and take a look at your championship standings here really quick. We mentioned it a little bit earlier on up at the top of the charts. It is Billy Northcutt with 152 points. Hargraves 147 behind him. Aiden Young sits a little ways back with Trailer and Hunter Hill rounding out your top 5. But Austin, looking like it's going to be a breakaway there between Northcutt and Hargraves.
Yeah, I mean, they're the class of field. They always have been. But I tell you what, I'm really impressed by this run Aiden Young's been putting on. When he does show up, he's extremely fast. He's showed up these last 2 weeks. He's got a podium in each of those. So doing really well this season. I look for good things to come out of him. It looks like he's a little bit, on the back foot for the championship standings for right now. But, boy, anything can happen over the course of 10 weeks.
Yeah, it certainly can, and we are ready to grid up here for the first of 5. That is right, 5 heat races here tonight from Cedar Lake, and lining up in pole position, it's going to be William Hargraves, your reigning champion. John Quill Jr. will line up to his outside. Then it's going to be Australian Neville Ulf in 3rd place, Steve Smiley, Jason Best, Jesse Steffes, and Mason Inman will round out your 7-car starting field. Now, one bit of a quick disclaimer here. You are going to see that iRacing pace truck absolutely scamper off down the front straightaway here. No need to be alarmed about that because of the pit entry. That is just the way the car has to get back around to the field. So if you see that thing booking it down the main straightaway, have no fear, folks.
Yeah, that's just what he ends up doing. DJ, it looks like William Hargraves is going to end up choosing the bottom line here. I think that's the way to go for right now. I still think most of the grip is down on the bottom. I wouldn't expect to see anybody on the pole starting up high until we get maybe about the 3rd or 4th heat here into the night.
Yeah, I've got to agree with you there, and that, of course, is his prerogative. Leader does have lane choice, but it does not stack through the field, so it's only the front row that will see that switch around if we do indeed see that over the course of the night. But right now, that number 71 machine of William Hargraves is going to bring that car around through turns 3 and 4. Eyes towards Barney the Flagman as he gets on the loud pedal and gets a good start on the rest of the field. That looked like Neville Ulf was going to try to take a little bit of a peek there down into the inside. Now the 30 is going to try to hold out here on John Quill Jr. A little bit of side-by-side action farther back in the field between Smiley and Best.
Yeah, looking at Neville Ulf right now in that 30 machine. He's in the catbird seat. He's going to be the first driver to not advance into the feature event right away, but if he finishes in that 3rd position right now, he's going to set himself up quite well for where he might start in the first and the last chance qualifiers.
Yeah, he certainly might, as we continue to follow Ulf there on your screen, coming down across the line to start on lap number 3. We still have side-by-side between Smiley and Best as they duke their way out for 4th place position. These guys have been at it hammer and tong since the drop of the green flag.
Yeah, they're really not giving each other an inch. You saw Jason Best getting all the way down, just barely nibbling at those tractor tires. That's going to allow for Smiley to get away with that position around the outside. He'll make up clean 4th position. Now you got Chris Hazlip in the 92. I think he's stalking that 47 to Jason Best for the moment.
Yeah, I think he is as well. Hazlip running a little bit of a lower line as we put our eyes back onto Neville Ulf as he tries to charge his way back up to the back of John Quill Jr. Remember, the top 2, the only 2 drivers that will automatically advance out of these heat races, as now Hargraves brings the field around right now to take the white flag as Barney waves it in the air from Cedar Lake Speedway as drivers work their way through. It's a pretty single file order for everybody, but Hargraves starting to put some moves on at the front of the field. He's looking pretty dominant here, as he is wont to do, brings the car out of turn 4, and that is going to be victory in heat race number 1 for Hargraves. John Quill Jr. in 2nd will also advance.
Neville Ulf, Smiley Best, Jesse Steffes, and Mason Inman rounded out the rest of your 7-car field. The last 5 of those drivers going to have to go on to the last chance qualifiers, DJ.
Yes, they will, and just as quick as you please, we're ready for heat race number 2 now as drivers start to grid up here onto the start-finish straightaway. It's going to be Kyle Jarrett in the number 43 that will lead us around to green, Cody Shaw to his outside. Then it'll be Aiden Young and Brady Thompson, Hunter Gaines and Mike Mennies, and then Dustin Benton will round out the back of the field here, and it looks like everybody is gridded up. Well, Austin, as we start to get going here in heat race number 2, it looks like that low line continues to be the way to go for now.
Yeah, I just feel like the track hasn't really been rubbered in enough for these drivers to want to, start going higher and higher up the track. Again, I feel like that inversion period is going to be about the 3rd or 4th heat, just with the amount of cars we have on the track, with the amount of laps they're putting in each one of these heats. I still think it's going to be a while, but we'll get there. I promise you, we will get there when drivers are going to end up preferring the top of the track over the bottom. We'll get there at some point tonight. It's just, again, these guys got to have the time and the patience to work this place in.
Yeah, exactly, and it's all about patience. That is the key word here tonight that we are going to be talking about. Patience, patience, patience. And to your point, Kyle Jarrett, your pole sitter here for heat race number 2, looks like he will be starting down to the inside. So that is going to be where that number 43 will start off. A very white livery dominant front of the field here, it has to be said. A lot of white cars. As there they get going immediately out of the corner. Jarrett not waiting around whatsoever as they're going to dive down into turns 1 and 2. It's going to be side by side between Aiden Young and Brady Thompson. Young down on the inside, Thompson up high.
Yeah, Young got really loose there coming off at turn 2. That really allowed for Brady Thompson to get a good run around the outside. Brady's going to take that position for right now, but don't think for a moment that Aiden is going to let him rest on his laurels. I think he's going to be back at him charging for that third place position before this lap is out.
Well, Aiden tried to go high there through 1 and 2. It looked like that didn't necessarily play out for the number 69 machine. He's going to have to tuck back into line here and maybe try to find another way to do it. He's going to take a little bit of a middle line there now coming through 1 and 2 on lap number 3. Meanwhile, Kyle Jarrett setting the fastest lap of the race up at the front of the field. As now they dive down into turns 3 and 4. A little bit of movement there for Brady Thompson. Maybe trying to send a move here on Cody Shaw with half of the heat race down.
Yeah, DJ, we're looking at these top 4 cars, but the last 3 in the field, they're 3 wide now coming out of turn 2. These guys have been underneath a blanket. I've been having one eye on them. Whoa, Lekimedes almost goes for a bit of a slide there down on the bottom, but they're still 3 wide as they come off of turn 4.
Big slide there for Menny's coming down to the inside. He's going to be able to gather that car back up underneath him.
Oh, one car hard at the outside wall down the back. That's Cody Shaw.
Cody Shaw having big problems, and he's going to be back down into pit lane. That's going to be a tow. Let's take a quick look at the replay here. Austin, you saw this. Tell us what happened.
I just saw him get the wall. This is going to be these cars going through turns 1 and 2 right here. I think, we just lost the back end of the car. Had to correct it. Overcorrected that thing up into the outside wall. Heavy damage. You're going to cross the finish line, DJ.
Yes, they are, and it's going to be Kyle Jarrett that takes victory here with Brady Thompson able to take advantage of Cody Shaw's misfortune. Young, Benton, Gaines, Menny's, and Cody Shaw will all be the ones headed back to the consolation races. A little bit of drama there, and it goes to show you've got to stay on your toes this entire way around the circuit.
Yeah, I mean, to be fair, Shaw was getting a lot of pressure there from that 08 car, so I'm not too surprised to see him just barely lose the back end, but it shows you just the razor edge of grip these guys are on. There's not much on dirt. They're going to spin the rear end coming out of the corner, and he's right on that lip of there's all the tacky grip down on the bottom and all that marbly looseness up on the top.
Yes, there is. And now let's go ahead and bring you over to the starting field for heat race number 3. Zachary Loomis going to be lining up in pole position, followed by David Traylor. Then it's Chris Hill and Canadian John Wilson. Jeremy Akins will line up in P5, followed by Richard Parker. And then Bobby Hayes lines up in P7. Yeah, you've got to be really careful if you're running up on those high sides. You get up into that, the little bit of that area where the rubber has been kicked up the road. It's a bit like loose tack across the loose gravel across the track, and it can really throw you off. I think that's exactly what happened to Cody Shaw in that last race.
Sure can. DJ, for right now, I'm really looking at David Traylor here. We saw in the last heat that outside lane was able to get a pretty good jump off the start. I'm kind of curious why Zach Loomis chose the bottom, but we'll have to see how this works out for him.
We'll have to see indeed, and we won't have long to wait as there goes the iRacing pace truck scampering off down into pit lane, and Loomis gets on the loud pedal. Here they go. It looks like it's actually Chris Hill that's going to be taking a little bit of a look down to the inside there of David Traylor as they come down into 1 and 2, and there, the number 5 starting to poke his nose ahead. It's a good move here for Chris Hill.
Yeah, Chris Hill got a lot of momentum there coming off of turn 2, just got right down to the inside of David Traylor. Look at David, though. He's going to have all that momentum up around the top, keeping that motor wound up. It's going to give him a big boost to speed, especially towards the later half of the straightaway.
Yeah, it certainly is, but I've got to give credit there to Chris Hill. Looks like he was able to keep things together. Little bit of slideways action there coming out of turn 4, and it's going to be Traylor that just barely has a nose ahead. Now it looks like it's going to come back to favor Chris Hill as they come out of 1 and 2. It looks like that high line very strong through 3 and 4, not as powerful through 1 and 2. Oh, a little bit of a bump.
Yeah, bump there between Chris Hill down on the inside, put David Traylor up into the outside wall. Poor John Wilson forced to check up to make sure he doesn't end up making contact with the 54 just up the road. He's going to have to blip the throttle just a little bit. That allows for Richard Parker to get by on the inside.
Oh, and I think Wilson there maybe had a little bit of contact with Parker as they worked their way through the field. 2 laps to go here from Cedar Lake in heat race number 3. It looks like a pretty standard affair at the front of the field with Zachary Loomis and Chris Hill starting to lead, but this battle for P3 right now between Traylor and Akins certainly starting to heat up a little bit. Contact there between the two as they cross over the stripe to take 1 lap to go. That's going to be Akins holding on barely. The 04 there of Richard Parker maybe trying to get involved in this. We're going to be 3 wide coming down the backstretch. It's going to be a 4 foregone conclusion for Loomis, but who's going to get this third place position as there's cars all over the place. Aitken gets turned around. Trailer's going to cross over in P3. Loomis and Hill will automatically advance.
Yeah, I'm not quite sure what's going on there with the 454, especially that 04 Richard Parker. He just did a really good job there. I don't know if he was taking advantage of Jeremy Aikens getting a really poor run through turns 1 and 2 or what, but that was some incredible stuff that Rennie got down the backstretch.
Yeah, it certainly was, as now we are ready for the penultimate heat race here tonight. Lining up in pole position, it's going to be J.C. Floyd, followed by Chase Barbara. Then it's going to be Steven Spees and Hunter Hill. Robbie Robinson, Chris Hazlip, and Justin Hopkins will round out your 7-car field here. And I'm going to be keeping my eye here on J.C. Floyd. I think this could be the crossover point. This could be the time where we see that number 18 decide to start from the outside lane.
Yeah, I feel like the inflection point was kind of halfway through that last heat, so maybe not too surprised that Loomis chose to start on the bottom. Looks like for right now, though, that JC's going to start down on the bottom. Nope, he's going up to the top as soon as I start to say that. So he's kind of seen what we've just seen, although now he's back down to the bottom. So I don't know. It's hard to read his mind.
Yeah, very hard to read. Another name here that I'm going to be keeping my eye on, though, Steven Spees, who, as you said earlier, kind of known as a little bit of a bottom feeder, doesn't like to run high necessarily, but we could see what that number 55 is able to do. Spees is always a threat in any kind of dirt car that he takes to right now, but the pace car rolls its way around, pace truck rather, rolls its way around. The lights are off here at this point, so we are going to be bringing this field to green for another 6-lap heat race. This is the second to last heat race of the night. After this, we get into heat race number 5, and then we will get into the consies. Starting very, very high up the track here are Barbara and Floyd. As they get on the loud pedal, and it looks there like Floyd was just almost able to clear over Barbara before they got into the corner, but now Barbara's going to try to get a little bit of a fight back here. Steven Spees poked his nose to the inside, and don't count out Hunter Hill. He's looking pretty menacing there as well in that green and black number 12.
Yeah, I think for that move into turn 1, DJ, I think JC cleared himself. I think he just threw that car in there with enough speed and momentum down at the bottom. He was just able to barely bring that car up to the top, just ever so slightly clearing Chase Barbara. Right now he's pulling away, but it's Steven Spees to the outside of Hunter Hill. That's the first 2-wide battle we've got. That's for 3rd position. Just as I say that, Spees got a really good run off of turn 4, clears himself up into 3rd.
He's going to clear himself up into 3rd and try to work his way up into 2nd, running a little bit of a lower line there through 1 and 2. We've seen that low line through 1 and 2 can prove itself out a little bit better. Spees hugging down to the tacky stuff, still down to the inside of the track. It's the middle lane that's starting to get very slicked up. We've got a car out
into the outside wall.
I think that may have been some sort of mechanical failure, as that car just looked like it speared off into the netherworld.
Yeah, this is coming here out of turns 3 and 4. This is down the front stretch. You're going to see this thing just go straight for this wall. He might have gotten into the outside wall and messed up that toe link in the front end. I'm not quite sure.
I'm not quite sure either, but we check back in here on J.C. Floyd leading away. But the real battle here is between Chase Barbara and Steven Spees as they start on the final lap here in heat race number 4. Spees look down to the inside, now going to try to throw the 55 up to the outside. He's going to see what he can do here coming down through 3 and 4. That's going to be Barbara holding down on the low line. Nowhere for Spees to go. Floyd takes victory over Chase Barbara. Steven Spees going to have to settle for 3rd place and a spot in the consolation races.
Yeah, Robinson 4th, Hopkins 5th, Hazlip 6th, Hunter Hill after that massive hit to the outside wall in turn 1 is going to come home in 7th position.
All right, now it's time for our final heat race of the night here, as Billy Northcutt is going to be the driver lining up in pole position. Jeffrey Harden will be to his outside. Then it is Chris Davis in the number 7 with Dylan Corey in the 24. Then Cody Ernst and Joe Segala to round out your 6-car field. This is going to be one, I think, that we all have to keep our eyes on here. Some heavy hitters in this race. I'm particularly looking here at row 2. Chris Davis, Dylan Corey, 2 drivers that are very, very quick.
Yeah, Mr. Aggressive absolutely loves this place. That's Chris Davis in the 7 car. And look out there for Jeffrey Hart in the 36. A really strong qualifying effort from him. Really not surprised to see him up here. He did a phenomenal job when we came here about a month ago now. During the break between Christmas and New Year's, we did a little bit of an expedition race, for the Icebreaker League, put on by Cody Easterly. And that was really well done. We had a lot of fun out here.
Yeah, it was a good one there. I was sorry that I had to miss it. I was hoping to be able to drive, but I was unfortunately back in the frozen tundra of Indiana and didn't have any of my rig with me. Otherwise, I would have joined you guys. But commentators attempting to race is not why we're here. We are here to watch the pros do it as Northcutt brings the field out of turn 4, waits to get onto the throttle, then goes as Barney waves the green flag. Chris Davis already trying to make a move up to the inside there on Jeffrey Harden. He's going to send that number 7 down to the inside. Is he going to be able to clear the 36 by the time that they come down the back straightaway? Davis doesn't move up on the track. That's going to give Harden a little bit of room here, but let's see if Davis decides to give a little bit of a chop coming down the main straightaway. No, this time Harden's got enough of an overlap to make it work.
Yeah, I'm not sure what happened to Jeffrey Harden there on the start. It looks like he spun his tires a little bit or didn't have that car quite in 4th gear enough to help him kind of accelerate there out of the box. But regardless, Chris Davis down to his inside. He's pushing him to the track just a little bit. But looks like as of right now, Harden will use the momentum on the top. I think that's where you want to be at the moment. But Billy Northcutt's loving this side-by-side action behind him. He's pulling away.
Yeah, he certainly is. His Harden there looked a little bit squirrely coming out of turn 2. Now it's Davis's turn to get squirrely coming out of turn 4. It's going to be Harden at the line, and with only 3 laps to go, we are at the halfway point in this final heat race. I think that's pretty crucial to notice that it looks like Harden's able to get a better run off the corner. If they stay side by side, it could be Harden pipping Davis at the line.
Yeah, you say that, but Chris Davis, each time they come out of these corners, especially out of turn 2, Chris has been doing a pretty darn good job to push him up the track just a little bit, get him further up into those marbles, still side-by-side door banging as they come off the corner.
You love to see a little bit of that. Davis thought about a little bit of the slide job there, but not able to make it work. Harden's going to get a little bit more momentum as they cross over the main straightaway here with 1 lap to go from Cedar Lake. Davis doing everything he can to try to hold on to that final transfer position. They dive down into turn 3 here for the final time in the heat races. Is it going to be Davis? Is it going to be Harden? Northcutt has already got victory. It's going to be Harden by the merest of margins there over Chris Davis as a couple of drivers have some fun coming into pit lane.
Yeah, just some celebratory car bashing there, no harm done. You just pull out the backup in a couple minutes, of course, when those guys have to go into the feature. But it's time for the first of our last chance qualifier. This is when we start to find out who gets to race and who has to go home.
Well, and crucially here, the top 7 will advance on. So by my calculations, that's going to be 5 drivers that are going to have an early end to their night. But lining up in pole position for this will be the Australian Neville Alf. Then it's David Trailer to his outside. Chris Davis and Dustin Benton will be in row 2, with Robbie Robinson and Jason Best in row 3. Row 4 will be John Wilson to the inside and Coney Ernst to the outside. Then in 9th place, it's Mike Mennies and Chris Hazlett. 11th place is Mason Inman, and Jeremy Akins will round out your 12-car field. And Austin, if you're starting down in P8 through P12, the adrenaline is flowing. You know this is now or never time.
Yeah, it's less butterflies at this point. You're mostly just seeing red because you know you have to make up at least 1 or 2 spots before you can even advance yourself into that feature event. So right now it's do or die time. I'm kind of surprised your Neville Alf is still down at the bottom. Again, he's still relatively in the safe zone, but this is that area of the night where if you make a single mistake, it's going to basically go between you making it into the feature and you packing up that box early.
Yeah, exactly. 1 single mistake can cost you. This will be a 8-lap consolation race, by the way. 8 laps in store for these drivers. Alf does look like he's going to be starting down on the low side here. Trailer to his outside. We're going to see how that strategy plays itself out. Right now, Cody Ernst, that's going to be John Wilson, will be in 7th place. That will be the final transfer spot. We will keep you abreast of who is holding on to that position as this race continues on. Alf backs the field up, now gets on the loud pedal as they come out of turns 1 and 2, and we are racing here as they go down into the corner. Chris Davis trying to make some moves here early. He's going to be looking down on the low side, thinking about making it 3 wide and almost having a little bit of a move there on your leader.
Yeah, he had a look down to the inside. Neville Alf, though, did a phenomenal job. He absolutely nailed the start of this race, got off in a hurry. He's got himself clear right now. Same position that Billy Northcutt found himself in. Chris Davis still down at the bottom. Looks like he'll be able to clear himself all the way up the track. He does indeed. He should go all the way up to the top right now. David Trailer kind of boxed in. He's got the 34 of Dustin Benton down to his inside.
Oh, and we've got a stack up there behind. I saw that was Wilson, Hazlett, and Akins, I think, all involved in that. That's going to allow for Cody Ernst to move his way up into that final transfer position of 7th place. Let's take a look at the replay. This just looked like it was a little bit of jostling here coming down into the corner, a little bit of elbows out racing.
Yeah, a bit of a kerfluffle. You see John Wilson get off the throttle a little bit earlier, trying to get a good run down the front stretch, and Chris Hazel really just doing what he does, going into the corner at the same speed he always has. Just barely ended up tipping the 75 of John Wilson, sent around, and after that it was just basically chaos. So unfortunately for Wilson, that put him from being in just barely in 7th spot to now on the outside looking in by 3 in 10th.
Yeah, exactly, but we focus back in as we cross over the halfway point for the very fierce battle for P2 with Chris Davis and Dustin Benton right now. That's Benton down to the inside in that sort of highlighter yellow or highlighter green machine as he works his way down through Davis in the white and purple as they try to be able to battle their way out for second place. It looks like David Traylor's not really having too much luck trying to get his way forward. They fan out a little bit coming across the start-finish line right now for the penultimate lap. It's 2 laps to go.
Yeah, boy, if I'm either one of these drivers, I don't think I'd be racing the other guy this hard. You're both firmly inside of the positions that are going to transfer the end, so I wouldn't fight this guy too hard. Maybe make a mistake, maybe knock one or both of you out, just like that, just like they almost did.
Yeah, there was contact there coming to the white flag. That could open up a little bit of a door here for David Traylor. Davis is going to carry momentum up around the high side, but I don't think it's going to be enough. He's not able to get it fully clear, though. Benton gives him a little bit of a door, but here they come across the line. It is going to be Neville Olf taking victory, followed by Benton, Davis, Traylor, Best, Inman, and Robbie Robinson able to get his way up into 7th. He was able to hold on to that position. Unfortunately, Austin, it's going to be an early night here for Mike Menes, Cody Ernst, and the rest.
Yeah, a bunch of guys there rounding out the rest of the field. Just to kind of put a cap on that, John Wilson in 10th, Jeremy Aikens at 11th, Chris Hazlip in 12th. And DJ Jeremy did such a great job there in his heat until he got clipped towards the end. Put him at the wrong side of making it into the feature in his last chance qualifier. He just couldn't make up enough spots.
Yeah, just couldn't quite get it done, but there is another chance for these drivers out here tonight. Again, this is going to be 7 drivers transferring on. Aiden Young will start off in pole position, followed by Steven Spies to his outside. Those two are teammates, by the way. Steve Smiley and Richard Parker will be in row 2, followed by Dylan Corey in 5th and Hunter Gaines in 6th. Justin Hopkins lines up in P7, followed by Jesse Steffes in 8th. 9th place will be Bobby Hayes, followed by Joe Segala with Cody Shaw and Hunter Hill shotgun on the field. And again, 7 drivers will advance on here, so that pressure ratcheting up for the drivers who start a little bit farther back.
Yeah, I mean, this is basically, you saw just how hard it was to make up those positions in the last chance qualifier that these guys were no doubt watching, because you're going to know, basically, have a pretty good idea of where you're going to end up lining up in your last chance qualifier before you even get gridded up. So these guys are going to realize, like, hey, I'm starting 10th. It's going to be a big shot if I need to pass 3 cars, but it's doable. If you want to pass any more than that, good luck.
Exactly, as Aiden Young starting down on the low side will bring this field around to green. He's going to get on the line pedal relatively early here as we get the green flag for the B main from the virtual Cedar Lake Speedway. It looks like that both Aiden Young and Steven Spies are going to be running that high side, leading the number 42 of Steve Smiley down at the low side. That's actually going to open up a little bit of a door here for Richard Parker. Oh, contact there with Spies. Spies almost had the 55 turned around.
Yeah, I'm not quite sure Parker really knows where that front end of his car is. He got into Steven Spies quite a fair amount. Luckily for Spies, Parker backed off before he got to him. 1 car hard in the outside wall. That's a 58 car, Hunter Gaines.
Oh, and we've got a big coming together there. That's Bobby Hayes, Hunter Gaines I see involved in it. Oh my goodness, this is not what you want to see here from a last chance qualifier.
Yeah, Hunter Gaines had a big run to the outside of Richard Parker in the 04. Parker didn't really realize he was out there, didn't leave enough room. That put the 58 car into the wall, and from there it was just guys not really able to check up before the 58 car really just got stuck to that wall, came around like he was glued to it. But there's still a pretty fierce battle, DJ, going on for 3rd position between Richard Parker up top in the 04 and Steve Smiley down low in the 42 car.
Yeah, and let's not count out here Justin Hopkins. He's kind of peeking his nose up into the middle of that battle as well. It looks like Young and Spies have started to pull away here a little bit from 1st and 2nd. But we ride on board with Justin Hopkins right now. You can see that starting to play itself out. Almost contact there between Parker and Smiley as they came down into turn 3. Hopkins doing a great job of just keeping his nose out of trouble here and trying to follow whoever is going to be faster here at this point. Looks like he thinks that's going to be up on the high side. As don't look now, but Steven Spies maybe even thinking about maybe putting on a little challenge here for the lead.
Yeah, these guys have basically worked themselves up to enough of a gap between the rest of the field that they can practically duke it out for a lap and still not be really caught and overtaken by those guys behind them. And then basically, that's everything you can do as teammates. You get yourselves out to a big lead, and then on the white flag lap, which you're coming up to, you say, all right, no holds bar, we're going at it.
Yeah, exactly, as here comes the white flag in the air right now for Aiden Young. Steven Speed's going to hold on to it here for that moment in P2. Doesn't look like he's going to put up too much of a battle. Richard Parker gets a fantastic run. Oh, I lied. Here comes Speed with the slide job. Speed's going to try to throw it. I'm not sure if that is going to be enough momentum to carry it around. Let's see at the line. Who's it going to be? It's Speed by 0.003 of a second.
I'm looking at my iRacing. It's not even down. It's like the 0.010 of a second. I mean, that was practically a dead even tie. That is some impressive stuff there. I tell you what did him in, though. Aiden Young was going to have that with the momentum, but as soon as they made contact, he just helped push Steven across the line first.
Yeah, certainly did. My goodness, talk about a dramatic way to end that session as now the drivers begin the scramble to head back out onto track. Austin, this is the 5-minute warm-up session that precedes our 30-lap feature event here from Cedar Lake. And you know just as well as I, this warm-up is very, very crucial, especially for drivers like Billy Northcutt, like William Hargraves, that advanced on automatically from those heat races. They're now in a position where they need to feel out the track and feel what's going on.
Yeah, it's paramount for those drivers who haven't been out here in quite a long time to come out and basically become acclimated with this track the same way that they knew it like the back of their hand as they did when they went into the qualifying session, and B, their heat race. We put it down so many laps. I mean, when some of these guys were last out on track, the high line wasn't even part of the equation. Everybody was bottom feeding down on the inside. Maybe you went halfway up the track to right now where all that slick is in the middle. There was none of that dark stuff through the middle of the corners anymore. So these guys have got to get out there. You have to try stuff out. You're not going for the ego sheets, as John Hine would call it, the professor, sometimes up on the booth, a very good dirt track racer himself. You're up there trying the low line, trying the high line, trying the slider line, see where your car feels the most, particularly suits your style the best, where it feels the most comfortable, depending on what you want to do and where you want to be.
Yeah, indeed. You really and truly want to just kind of figure out where you like to run, what you like to do, how you like to feel out the track, and be able to run everything in that way. As it looks here, I'm looking at a lot of drivers out on the track right now. I'm seeing a lot of experimentation, and crucially here, Austin, I'm seeing that cushion get pushed farther and farther up the track.
Yeah, it's going to be really, really tricky when these guys go to get down into turn one, because that cushion right now is almost up to the top of the wall. If we can get a good camera angle at that, it's basically what you're looking at here, but turned about 180 degrees around to look towards pit road. You're going to see that dirt is almost all the way up to the wall, and if you go into turn one a little bit too hot, you're going to go right up that cushion and ride the wall, and that's basically just going to force your car up and out of the track. It ends your race in a heartbeat.
Yeah, it certainly will, and so drivers are going to have to watch out for that. But so now we have this full field that has been assembled, and apart from really figuring out where you want to be running, how you want to be running, things like that, the other thing that I think a lot of these drivers are doing, because there are some new names here in this series right now, looking at drivers like Mason Inman, Kyle Jarrett, Chase Barbara, some of these drivers that they may not be as familiar with, the other thing you can be doing here at this moment is getting a read on these other drivers.
Yeah, this being a league race, DJ, it doesn't get talked about enough, in my opinion, online in these broadcasts at all. Not just on the VGN, but any league, any broadcast, is the kind of friendship and camaraderie you'll have with all the league drivers. Everybody in BRL is basically a giant family. Most of these guys will get together and talk before and after the races, especially during the races and these warm-ups and between them, when the session basically, when one closes before the other one opens. These guys are talking and have a good time hanging out. You get a good feeling for how everybody drives around you, where different guys are strong, where they're weak, and basically with all these new faces, it's like you don't know your classmates. Maybe you had a lunch change, you moved to a different town, you're at a new school, all of a sudden you go from knowing everybody in your grade to maybe knowing one or two people.
You know, Austin, I've heard you have some great analogies through the years, and that may be my favorite one that you have come up with here at this point, so I absolutely love that. Yeah, it's like learning a new school routine, learning what these people are going to do out on the track. But right now, as opposed to what we saw in the free practice time earlier on in the race, we do start to get a sense of who is going to be where, and I've got to say, it's a lot of new names up at the top. Floyd, Jared, Inman. Then we get down Billy Northcutt, Brady Thompson, a new name, Chase Barbara, William Hargrave, Steven Spees. We start to get some older names there, but I think some of these young guns may have it out for some of the old favorites here.
Yeah, that's how it was last week, too. There were a lot of new names up at the top, and I'll tell you what, it's awesome to see these guys come in here and be so fast right off the bat. Basically just injects the league with a whole lot more talent in terms of, you know, the talent base and the pool we have to draw from for all these races really just increases, I'm going to say. The amount you have to fight to finish, not just in the top 5, even the top 10.
Yeah, very, very much so. Is now the checkered flag falls for our 5-minute warm-up, and that can mean only one thing. It is time to go racing here for the main event, for your feature race from Cedar Lake Speedway. And we'll go ahead and bring you that starting grid here. Lining up in pole position, it will be William Hargraves, followed by Kyle Jarrett, with Zachary Loomis and J.C. Floyd in P4. Billy Northcutt will line up in P5, followed by John Quill Jr., then it's Brady Thompson and Chris Hill in 8th place. 9th will be Chase Barbara, followed by Jeffrey Harden, with Neville Ulf and Steven Spees rounding out your top 12.
Rolling off the field in 13th place is Dustin Benton, driving the number 034 car. Starting 14th is Aiden Young in the number 69 machine, followed by Mr. Aggressive Chris Davis in 15th. Richard Parker follows him in the 04 car in 16th. Starting in 17th is David Traylor. Rolling off in 18th is Justin Hopkins, followed by Jason Best in 19th, and Steve Smiley starting in 20th. Starting 21st is Mason Inman in the number 6 machine, followed by Dylan Corey, who starts in 22nd. Robbie Robinson rolls off on the field in 23rd position, followed by Hunter Hill, who rounds out your 24-car field.
All right, well, Austin, we've got about a lap and a half more pacing. You know what time it is. It's prediction time. Who do you have your eye on?
I got to pick William Hargraves. He's so fast each and every week. I know he has a particular liking to this place, and he's really good about positioning his car so eloquently into these corners just when he barely hits the cushion and doesn't overstep the bounds of grip.
Yeah, I think Hargraves is one to watch out for. I also think J.C. Floyd. I liked what I saw there out of that practice time from the number 18. That's going to be another one to keep an eye on here as well. There you can see Floyd on your screen. But it's going to be Hargraves lining up to the inside here as we get ready to go racing. As there goes the green, and we are indeed racing from Cedar Lake Speedway. It's a good getaway there for Hargraves. He's going to be just about clear of Kyle Jarrett. Jarrett's going to make contact with the outside wall and try to carry that momentum on through. J.C. Floyd trying to make a little bit of a move here on Zachary Loomis. As farther back in the field, there's a little bit of contact there. I think that was Chris Hill getting into the back of Brady Thompson. 2-3 wide throughout the entire field.
Look at Kyle Jarrett around the outside there. The 71 car, William Hargraves, is going to get a huge boost of momentum. Caution flies in the air.
Caution is indeed out here, and it looks like Steve Smiley may have been the culprit there for that. As we jump back, we'll check out a replay here. We're seeing Hopkins and Parker. Hopkins and Parker is who we are seeing. And let's take a look at this, Austin.
Yeah, this is coming out of turns 3 and 4, going into turns 1 and 2. Looks like the 04 car just lost it around the outside, came down the track into the 44 machine there, and he had nowhere to go. They're both going to slam into the inside wall. 44 car is a little bit worse for wear. I think the 04 car is... he's probably okay on the front end. He's got a little bit of damage on the rear end. This is another view, DJ. This is from the top. You're going to see the 04 car come off the corner, went a little bit too low. I don't think he quite realized just how close Hopkins was to his inside.
Yeah, I don't think he realized that as well, and there you can really and truly see just what that did for everybody. So a bit of an unfortunate situation there for all involved, as now we rack and restack here. Caution laps do not count. This is going to be a little bit of a stop and start for these drivers. Sometimes it can be a little bit hard to get back into that rhythm once you've had a yellow flag.
Yeah, it's really difficult to kind of just prepare your brain mentally again to go back to green flag racing, especially with how hard these guys at the front were going at it. I mean, these guys were just throwing haymakers up at the front of the field, respectfully throwing haymakers. So, going to be really interesting to see who comes out of this on top of the next couple laps. Pace truck scampering off away from the field.
And Hargraves immediately going to get on the loud pedal. A much better jump for him that time, as it does look like down to the inside. That's going to be J.C. Floyd trying to make a little bit of a move there on Zachary Loomis, but Loomis is going to keep the momentum. Look at this, Kyle Jarrett with a monster launch down to the inside. He's going to try to hold that number 70 or that number 43 down. A little bit of door banging there between himself and William Hargraves. They're going to be side by side as they cross over the start-finish stripe.
Look at how high the 71 car got in turns 1 and 2. He's going to get a ton of momentum coming off the corner. He's going to clear the 43 car before they even enter the corner. This is some incredible stuff here from the first two drivers. Caution again.
Yellow, yellow, yellow. Not sure who this one is for here at this point. It looks like Jason Best could be the culprit. We'll bring back a replay here once we get that spooled up. But 24 cars out on this track. It's kind of hard sometimes. There you see Best in the number 47. Gets a little bit of a love tap from behind. That rear end starts to step out on him. And I believe that's Dylan Corey. I think Best just didn't realize the 6 was to his outside.
Yeah, it's really hard to tell from that angle if that was Dylan Corey coming down the track or Jason Best coming up. Maybe, Ryan, if we can get a replay here from the chopper, maybe a blimp view or something. Yeah, it looks like Jason just went right up the track and kind of tried to clear himself and didn't realize that Corey was out there.
Yeah, and that can happen sometimes. We haven't really talked about the peripheral vision that really doesn't exist in these cars, frankly. And yeah, there you can see it. Jason, I think, just did not realize Dylan was to his outside, and that caught him around. Gotta say, I think they would have been able to clear everything back up by the time he got back going again, but we are under yellow for the second time here tonight.
Yeah, that's basically iRacing, knowing that he stopped, he's off the track just a little bit with his rear axle. So at that point, Barney has no other option to throw the yellow flag.
No other option. We're going to get restarted here on, I believe, lap number 5. Crucially, it looks like Hargraves is going to be starting on the high line here. So he is going to opt for that. J.C. Floyd looking very aggressive behind him in that number 18. As Hargraves waits a little bit later to get on the loud pedal, he's going to be fully clear by Kyle Jarrett here at this point. J.C. Floyd going to be hoping to carry a little bit of momentum. That was Hargraves making contact with the outside barrier, but it's not going to blunt his momentum at all. As now here comes J.C. trying to make a little bit of a move on Kyle Jarrett.
Yeah, JC was able to get a ton of momentum following the 71 car. William Hargraves up around the outside. These two guys absolutely rim riding right now around the top. Look at Zach Loomis. He's going to continue to freight train this 43 car. Kyle Jarrett's going to have to make sure he gets up there and stops getting freight trained here by these guys if he's not too careful.
Yeah, he certainly is. And we talked about the point where that low line was going to become invalid, and I think we found it here at this point. You could see there that was Jarrett trying to get back up the track, but it just didn't look like he had the room to be able to do so, as now Loomis is going to be ahead of him in the 777 of John Quill Jr., almost trying to make a move. Now the 43 is able to get into line. That's going to leave a car down on the low side as we've got another caution here. Looks like falling down through the field. This could be Trailer and Ulf, I think, could have been involved in this one.
Yeah, I think you hit the nail on the head there, DJ. You see those two drivers continue to basically just plummet through the timing and scoring on the left side of the screen. This is going to be a replay here to see the cause for caution. That's a coming together. I'm not quite sure what happened there first, but you basically saw the two cars' speeds definitely went up the track, and I think Ulf was coming down at the same time.
Yeah, I think he was as well. I'm not entirely sure. Let's ride on board with Steven Spees here. Let's see if we can figure out. It looks like...
I feel like if we could go one car back behind Steven, you'd really see. I feel like Steven got pitched up the track. He was opening the wheel up anyways, but you see him get tipped there by, looks like Chris Hill, in the 5 car, tips him up the track, and Neville Ulf was coming down at the same time, so these guys are going to come together regardless, but boy, taking out that many cars in one go, you see Chris Hill there getting cleaned out by the 34 machine.
Yeah, very unfortunate there. Those were some particularly fast drivers that could have had a chance for a little bit of a good run here tonight, but that was obviously scuppered a little bit early. We're going to re-rack, restack, and go back double file here again. We are just about at the 1/3 mark of this race. It continues to be Hargraves leading at the front of the field. He certainly looks pretty dominant here, but I've got to say, J.C. Floyd, Zachary Loomis looked pretty aggressive there on that last time as well. We'll have to see. Kyle Jarrett now going to be up to the high side as Hargraves waits, now gets going. It looks like a little bit of a timing there for J.C. Floyd as he's now going to drive down to the tack on the inside, tries to send a big slider up on Hargraves. Hargraves has to check his momentum, and that's going to be a big stack up all the way up through the field. And
they're 3 wide. There goes Hargraves getting spun on the front end of Zach Loomis's car. They're still all over the place. We stay green. It's some miracle.
By some miracle of miracles, we are indeed back green, but Hargraves finds himself all the way back down into 5th, and we've had another coming together. That's going to be Dylan Corey and Hunter Hill, I believe, farther back down through the field. That was coming out of turn 2, it looked like, but talk about a horrid restart there for William Hargraves.
Well, I was going to say, watch out for that car starting up in the 4th position. Kyle Jarrett was going to get a huge run there, a huge boost of momentum, and this just seems to be that 37 car getting spun in front of the field there. But I want to see if we can't get a look at what happened there to the 71 car, William Hargraves, going into turn 2, because I don't know how everybody kept it straight.
Yeah, that was a very, very terrifying incident there, I think, for all involved, and very lucky that everything was able to get out and pointed back in the right direction. Let's take a look at this here. This is what we were talking about. It looked like there, Austin, he just dove down too low, and I think he actually may have caught the grass.
Yeah, he dove down a little bit too low. It looked like he thought he was clear of that 37 car down on the inside of Zach Loomis, and ended up kind of spinning himself out with a little bit of help there from Loomis, obviously. But I kind of got to put that on Hargraves himself.
Yeah, I do too. That looked like a little bit of an unforced error there potentially. But now as we check back in on the front of the field, it is going to be J.C. Floyd and Kyle Jarrett that are going to line things off here. And it's going to be Floyd, interestingly, starting down on the
for
low
Northcutt,
side.
DJ. He's starting in the 4th position. He might get a really good run here off of turn 2.
He might indeed. Let's definitely keep our eyes there on that 00 machine. Northcutt having to fight his way up through the field here at this point. As there goes J.C. Floyd getting back onto the loud pedal as we get going here on lap 11 of 30. As drivers work their way now through 1 and 2. That's going to be Northcutt making a little bit of contact there with the outside wall, but he's able to keep things together. Looks like the 71 there down to the inside. That's Hargraves trying to make things work. The 777 of Quill going to be blocking off a little bit of his momentum. Almost 3 wide there coming out of turn 4.
Yeah, that was some awesome stuff there out of William Hargraves. He came off turn 4 on the bottom of 3 wide, and now he's all the way up to the top trying to make up some spots. A little bit of argy-barginess there between the 37 car Loomis and the 53 machine.
Yeah, a little bit of that there, and let's not count out Steven Spies right now. He's one of the big movers of the race. He's up 7 positions. He's one of the few drivers making that low line work here, and he's playing it to perfection. He's in a battle with Hargraves and Quill.
Yeah, he's doing a really good job. That's basically where Steven is most comfortable. Like, he's not a bottom feeder, a closet bottom feeder either. He is very proud to be really good there on the bottom of the track, and he's doing a really good job of making up those spots. I mean, he passed the 71 car, so obviously he's got something really good working out for him there down on the bottom.
Yeah, but the front of the field, J.C. Floyd continues to lead over Kyle Jarrett and Billy Northcutt. No change there. This is the best battle that we have on your screen right now. As there you see the 777 of Quill leading over Hargraves. That Speeds down on the low side. And then getting involved in this conversation is going to be Chase Barbara there in the number 23. There's a little bit of fanning out farther back in the field. And I'm kind of loving the defensive lines here that I'm seeing out of that 777. As now Hargraves is going to change things up, come down to the low side.
Yeah, Hargraves down on the bottom for just a split second. We'll see if he can throw a haymaker of a slide job into this thing in turns 3 and 4. Not quite able to do that. He's going to lose a lot of time spinning up the rear tires trying to get that car up the track. He's going to continue to plummet through the field right now, but we'll see if he can make a charge down the back.
He looks like he is just itching to throw that slider here, but doesn't quite have the momentum to get clear by John Quill Jr. He's going to slide up the track there. You can see that tail end stepping out a little bit as he tries to control it. Almost a little bit of a bump from behind there from Chase Barbara, trying to see if he can give Quill a little bit more speed down the start-finish straightaway as we work on lap 18.
Yeah, we talked about Steven Spies being a bottom feeder of all bottom feeders, but he's gone right up now to the top, and he's running that thing just as competitively as both the drivers ahead of him. He's right up next to the wall, doing a phenomenal job of putting that car everywhere he needs to. He's going to make a move to the outside. Can we put 3 wide? Barely clipped there by the 77 machine.
And what was lost and all that from behind was a brilliant slider there by William Hargraves to come down to the inside. He threw it, I think, before he realized Quill actually made contact there with the outside wall. So Hargraves on that recovery drive here at this point, now up into 4th. His question is going to be if he's going to be able to catch up to his teammate here, Billy Northcutt, who runs in 3rd.
Well, it's going to be a tall ask. He's basically got 1.5 seconds until he gets up there. He's only got 10 laps to do it before he makes himself a spot on the podium.
Well, and crucially here, because we are in the last 10 laps of this race, if another yellow were to come out, knock on your patented virtual grip network block of wood if you got one next to your computer, that we don't get a yellow here, but it would be a single file restart, so it's going to be a lot harder to gain up those positions the later on this race goes.
Yeah, especially not when you're single file. You basically don't have the free opportunity to basically lock some guys down on the bottom and practically freight train them off the start. I'll say this, though. Hargraves is doing a phenomenal job to stick with the leader's pace. Meanwhile, Billy Northcutt has fallen off a whopping 0.6 of a second in these last couple laps.
Yes, he has. He has really fallen off the pace here, but look at this. Chase Barber is starting to put some pressure onto the back if you're points leader right now, as Hargraves finds himself under a little bit of strain here, and I think part of the reason you mentioned Northcutt having some problems, Northcutt looks like he's running low here, contrary to pretty much everybody else on the track.
Yeah, I don't know why he's down there, because he's right in the middle of all that really slippery stuff, and it's one thing to do that when you're racing side by side with someone because you're either forcing them down there or you're being forced down there, but he's just running down low on the bottom. I don't know if he's maybe more comfortable down there or what, but you know what? He's got a pretty big lead right now, and what's the point if you don't use it, you know?
Yeah, exactly. You have got to do everything you can as we cross over here. 5 laps to go now from Cedar Lake as we focus in here on the battle. Continuing to run on between Hargraves and Chase Barbara here. Now it's going to be
leaders are within 0.2 of a second of each other. This is shaping up to be a pretty good battle here. I feel like Kyle Jarrett's basically sitting in the weeds, waiting for a chance to attack.
Yeah, I have to agree with you on that one. We're going to keep our eyes, though, on the 777 here. This is Quill with Spees and Zachary Loomis lurking behind, as it does look like here at this point Spees doing what he does best, running down to the low side, the 777, trying to pinch him a little bit. Things getting a little bit feisty there between the two with 3 laps to go.
Yeah, Spees is going to throw that thing down to the bottom of the track and see if it can stick for him. Looks like it was almost able to. He's just barely not cleared by maybe the rear axle of his car. There he goes. He's going to clear himself. We'll see if the old 77 can do the classic crossover move. Not quite. Move the 55 car up to the 6th position.
Oh, but he's now going to look down to the inside of Spees. Is that going to play out? No, Spees is going to be able to carry better momentum and hold that along. That, again, is the battle for 6th as we've got a yellow flag. Yellow flag in the air, which means we are going to get a 1-lap shootout to end this thing.
I was just going to say that happened as soon as I was going to say we're about to take the white flag. I think that was for Hunter Hill and Richard Parker. This is a replay. What was going on? Looks like it's coming out of turns 3 and 4 right here, down to turns 1 and 2. Keep your eyes locked on that 12 car. Oh, man, he just barely clipped the wall, got that thing going again, tried to get off the track, and the 04, Richard Parker, did a phenomenal job to get that thing stopped just barely in time.
Well, we really haven't talked about it here, but getting these dirt street stocks stopped is a monumental feat. It really and truly is. And so massive credit there to Parker to be able to get that done. But Austin, this is going to set up some pretty fascinating. Here we as we watch that replay. Woohoo! He was about as close can be with that. But let's see how this is going to play out. A 1-lap shootout to the end.
Yeah, this is going to be a last lap dash for the ages here. I feel like if you're J.C. Floyd, you need to start your car up as far as you can on the track to just make sure you get a good run off at turn 4 and into turns 1 and 2, because that's where Kyle Jarrett is the best. If you leave him the outside in turns 1 and 2, he's going to get a ton of momentum going down the backstretch, and he'll have you to the inside in turns 3 and 4.
Yeah, I certainly will, as here we get ready to go. J.C. Floyd gets on the loud pedal coming out of turn 4. It looks pretty single file there for the top 2. Hargraves trying to take a little bit of a look down at his teammate here of Billy Northcutt as they dive into the corner. J.C. Floyd doesn't have anything to worry about. It's going to be a straight drag race, though, between the 2 Dirt Panda drivers as they come down into 3. Chase Barber trying to maybe see if he's going to be able to play spoiler to that, but up at the front of the field, J.C. Floyd will take victory over Kyle Jarrett. Billy Northcutt holds on to 3rd over Hargraves and Barbara.
I feel like that's going to lock our 2 championship competitors here basically on even footing as we go into round 4 of this championship, DJ.
I think it certainly is, as there you see J.C. Floyd hopping up into victory lane to take a well-deserved celebration. And we're going to take a quick break here on the Virtual Grip Network to catch our breath, but do not go anywhere. We will be back with final finishing order as well as podium interviews, so stick around. Welcome back to the virtual Cedar Lake Speedway here on the Virtual Grip Network. My name is DJ Clark, joined in the commentary booth by Austin Belke. You just saw a fantastic 30-lap feature race for the Street Stock Series where it was J.C. Floyd able to take victory over Kyle Jarrett and Billy Northcutt. Then it was William Hargraves and Chase Barber to round out your top five. Hargraves started in pole position, but was able to claw his way back up after an earlier incident in the race. Steven Spies up 6 positions into 6th place. Then it was John Quill Jr. and Chris Davis up 7 in 8th. Brady Thompson was in 9th, followed by Dustin Benton, with Zachary Loomis and Aiden Young rounding out your top 12.
Mason Inman started outside the top 20, comes home in 13th position, followed by Jason Best. Had a really up-down day for him in the 47 car. Jeffrey Harden started the day out in P2 in his heat race. He'll follow to come home in 15th place in the feature event. Robbie Robinson rose from second to last on the grid to finish in 16th. And how about Christopher Hill? Gotta have the hard luck day of the race here for Chris. He started in 8th, finishes in 17th, followed by Neville Alf in the 30 machine in 18th. David Traylor in 19th. Justin Hopkins rounds out the top 20. Dylan Corey comes home in 21st, followed by Richard Parker in 22nd. Hunter Hill, Steve Smiley round out the field.
All right, and that's going to go ahead and bring us to our podium interviews. And first and foremost, it is your victor, J.C. Floyd. And I've got to ask you right from the get-go, that looked like an action-packed race. You never were out of it. How was it behind the wheel?
It was pretty nice. Just kind of, trying not to barrel it in on the top and just try to stay clean, because you could climb the wall in one and then your race is pretty much ruined. So I just kind of babying it, and then Kyle kept getting closer and closer, so I just told myself, just hit your marks and I think you should be fine. So
well, talk to me a little bit about the strategy, because obviously you started back down in 3rd place. Now, were you wanting to be aggressive from the very drop of the green flag, or was it a situation where you kind of had to hold back a little bit and you just let the race play out for you?
I know Kyle. He's kind of a guy that likes to rip the top, so I trusted him going into 1, so kind of just followed him. I don't race with Will that much, so I really don't know what he likes to do. So it's kind of nice that everybody kind of gave each other room. Then I kind of just, picked it apart where I got that restart where I started on the bottom, and just I knew if I beat him to turn 1, I could throw a slider. It would, kind of help me out. So then it happened. I don't know if he got ran over after that or what.
Yeah, well, I'm not entirely sure as well, but I've got to ask you, as we look ahead next week on January 27th, we head to Lincoln Speedway. Can we see you there, and what are your predictions?
Yeah, I should be here pretty much every Friday if something doesn't come up. I've only raced there a couple times. I think I've raced there once in a fix, so it should be a little interesting, so maybe I'll have to do some laps there.
Well, I wish you all the luck in the world when you get there, JC. But as for today, who makes this possible? Who do you want to thank for the victory?
Definitely everybody at House of Speed that helps me out, keeps me going. I got one of my buddies sponsored me this week, so that helps out a lot. Hunter Gaines, give him a big shout out. 'Cause he said I win a lot, so he said he wants to be on the car, so that comes in and helps me out a lot. So.
Well, fantastic, JC. Congratulations again. We'll see you next week.
Awesome. See you guys then.
All right, that was your victor, J.C. Floyd. And now, Austin, I believe you've been able to catch up with P2, Kyle Jarrett.
I have. Kyle, you did a phenomenal job, especially ripping the top side in turns 1 and 2. What was going through your mind just putting that car right on the ragged edge here of almost hitting the wall, practically bringing the rear end of the car up and over the wall like we saw a couple guys do here today?
Yeah, I got into it a couple times there, and with about 10 to go, I planted my right front into it and kind of shot our race there, and just felt like from there is just trying to catch up to JC.
Coming to that restart there, the final caution to bring us to the 1-lap shootout, what was going through your mind? Did you think you had a shot at him if you could get a good enough run there coming off the corner, especially coming to the green?
No, there was no chance for me there. I think the only thing holding my right front on was a couple bolts and probably some JB weld. I'm not the best at restarts either, so it was just pretty much trying to hang on to what I could.
Certainly. Kyle, before I let you go, who do you have to thank for bringing this thing home in second position?
Just the normal people, Chris Hill, JC Floyd, Brunson Benning, Jordan Gage, always racing with them, every week it'll make you a better driver.
Certainly. Thank you so much for your time, Kyle. Congratulations on your second place.
Thank you, sir.
That was Kyle. Jared comes home in P2. I think, DJ, you've now caught up with the Dirt Panda driver, Billy Northcutt.
I have indeed. Billy Northcutt, a third place from fifth on the grid. It looked a little fast and frenetic there at the beginning. How'd you find it? Billy, you got a copy? All right, it looks like Billy's having some sort of connection issues there, so unfortunately we're not going to be able to talk to third place here today. But, folks, thank you so much for joining us here on the Virtual Grip Network. If you like what you saw, well, stay tuned here tonight because we are not done as the BRL Dirt Super Late Model Series is going to be coming at you here in just a few minutes' time, live from Cedar Lake Speedway. That'll be at 8:50 p.m. Eastern. Also, if you like the BRL Street Stock Series, join us as we head to Lincoln Speedway next time out. That'll be Friday, January 27th at 7:10 p.m. Eastern Time. In the meantime, though, my name is DJ Clark, joined by Austin Belke with Ryan Seneca and Lowell Jewell behind the scenes. And on behalf of all of us here at the Virtual Grip Network, until we see you on the track, thanks for watching.